This is the Slots and Sockets podcast, episode number 78. I am one of your hosts, IRD Moose, and my partner in crime,
Unmuted Turbo Penguin.
Good evening, Turbo Penguin, and you might be eligible for a cash settlement if you bought Corsair DDR4 or DDR5 between January 14th, 2018 and July 2nd, 2025. Check it out now, and we've got some interesting things to talk about tonight.
Lawyers suck.
Yes, they do. It seems like the more we do things, the more lawyers tend to build generational wealth for themselves.
Because let's be honest. Let's see if we're looking at this right. We were thinking about this. If there's $5.5 million in settlement.
Yep.
Okay. And there are and this is a time span of 6 or 8 years.
2018. So yeah, what? 6? Yeah, it is 6. Wait, 7 years.
7 years.
Math
okay,
is hard.
so I was right in the middle. 5.5 million, and let's see, you had 4 kits that I have on Amazon. I have 2. I know I've got more on Newegg and B&H. So let's say I have 4. Okay, let's say the average builder has 4, and this is in United States. So let's say let's just say there's 250,000, which I think is probably conservative.
Yeah,
250,000 divided by, multiplied by 4 kits on average per person. That's $1 million. That's a million units. So everyone's going to get $5.50, but then you have to pay the lawyers. So we're all going to get a penny.
Yeah, roughly. Yep.
I mean, so it's absolutely, we're the only people who benefit are lawyers. We're not going to get any meaningful amount. And oh, by the way, it's going to cost us tons of money because RAM kits are going to be more expensive because they're not going to pay out $5 million and just be like, oopsies. No, they're going to recover their money.
Yep.
By having slightly higher costs because that's the cost to operate their business now that they have a legal settlement against it.
So if you haven't seen the Jay's 2 cents video that actually kind of prompted us to record this show tonight about the topic, Corsair was involved in a lawsuit and they have opted to settle for $5.5 million. The settlement is at DDR4 and DDR5 desktop memory settlement.com. Now that is a mouthful of a URL. If you did buy Corsair desktop memory between January 14th, 2018 and July 2nd, 2025, and it is desktop memory in DDR4 or DDR5, you might actually be eligible for the settlement and you can claim up to 5 purchases without proof of purchase. Now, I only had 4, and I only recommend claiming as many as you actually purchased, but that's kind of how these settlements go.
Can get an extra.
I might get 4 cents instead of 1.
I mean, that's what's so stupid. It's not even a meaningful amount. And if people realistically, if you understand, when you sit down and look at what that looks like from what that's doing from an industry perspective, I mean, what you're doing is you're going into the legal system and saying, oh my gosh, they totally screwed us. Right. No, it's just the legal system doesn't understand computers. And you're trying, you're going to get people in front of a judge, and or a jury and try to explain to them what RAM is. Gosh dang it. The judges are looking at this like, okay, just shoot me now. This is the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it even got to a judge. So,
that's true that they did settle, but
they settled.
Corsairs, I look at this, say, great. So I have to try to find people who are, smart enough, not smart enough, but knowledgeable enough about RAM and why it's important to say why I didn't do anything wrong. And the honest truth is, I look at this and say, I would love to hear if this is like a law firm is like, hey, we could totally do this. and just
Yeah.
like it's just totally going after a
Well,
group because they think that there's money involved. Because that's all.
yeah.
Because the only people who are going to make money here are lawyers. No one else
No,
is making.
exactly. And I think the real crux of the issue here is that they didn't say up to, because DDR4 and DDR5 run at the default JEDEC speeds. I think for DDR4 it was 2133, and I think at some point there were some 2600 sticks, where it just you plug it in, that's what it runs at. But for DDR5, it's actually very similar. I think it's like 4,000 mega transfers, and if you have faster memory, then you have to set your XMP profile or your DOCP and older Ryzen. I forget what it's called in the newer stuff. But there were a lot of manufacturers that were shipping this fast memory and not setting it, and people were expecting those settings to be applied. And I think part of the issue in this situation here is the complaint is that they just didn't say it's up to, because you could buy 4 sticks of DDR5 6000, but if your board only supports running 2 sticks at 6000, you're not going to get that speed. Um, and
And that's
I
Corsair's
think
fault apparently for not knowing
right,
everyone's configuration.
right, and
It's
that's
just
their
stupid.
logic. And I think
There
it
is no
kind of,
logic. That's the problem.
well, yeah, that's the complainant's logic. Whether or not there's merit to it, I won't make that decision because I'm not a lawyer. But apparently the attorneys
You might be a
running
better lawyer
this,
than a lot of lawyers we have out there right now.
well, I mean, that's fair. But, whether or not this is a meritorious claim, we can't really make that judgment because it didn't go to court. I personally, in my opinion, don't think it is. It is very meritorious because they're applying the same standard to your internet connection that, in my case, is sold to me as up to 1 gigabit up and down. Um, because ISPs got slapped with a similar lawsuit a long time ago when they were offering 10 megabit and people just didn't get it, so they sued. And now ISPs say up to, and if you've got a gigabit connection where you're getting 56 kilobits, well, that's up to 1 gig. No. I actually have had an ISP pull that, and I said, "Okay, how fast do you wanna lose a bunch of money in court? Because I'm happy to spend your money." And they sent a tech out for a lot less money and fixed it. But yeah, I mean, it's the same kind of thing. Do you expect Corsair to put a table on their RAM? I mean, the package is gonna be the size of a giant Amazon box, for crying out loud, just for 2 sticks of RAM. To say that, well, if you have this configuration, you can run it at 4800, and if you have this configuration, you can run it
Well,
at 6000,
I
and blah
think
blah blah.
part of the issue is what I think that the argument here is they're saying is that it doesn't say up to.
Right.
And that's the piece that really hacks me off. It's like, so let me get this right. So just because it doesn't have that up to means that, anyways, you know,
Yeah,
United States is stupid if this is. But again, I'm gonna guess this is done in California of all
it is.
places. I'm just guessing.
I believe it is.
So you know,
But yeah, yeah, and what we can expect, I think, coming down the pike is Corsair to have a bunch of boxes with new stickers on them, and we've all seen them where something changes after production, and they have to send a whole bunch of stickers out to places like Micro Center and Amazon and Fry's. Oh wait, they don't exist anymore. Um, and get them to put those stickers on the box so they comply with the terms of the settlement. And the sticker's probably going to say something like the this memory runs up to this speed, and whether it can run that speed is going to be dependent on your system's configuration. And I they could have avoided this if they'd said that in the first place, and I'm actually somewhat surprised um that their legal team didn't say that. And you know, it's not that big of an L for Corsair. I mean, you got to think we talked about their Xeneon Edge display last week, and I'm pretty sure they spent a lot more than $5 million developing that. If they didn't, I'd be actually very pleasantly surprised, because I mean, it looks pretty awesome, and looks like they spent a lot more money than that on it. So yeah, I mean, you can get your piece of the pie if you bought Corsair memory between those two dates. And, I'll include a link to the Jay's 2 cents video on it in the description below. But, as much as I think this whole settlement is stupid and is setting a very bad precedent for the industry, I mean, they chose to settle, which tells me that $5 million settlement was a lot cheaper than them actually winning in court. And so I think we could probably expect some other memory companies to fall prey to the same tactic that I think is predatory. And they'll probably settle, and we'll have more of these coming up. But what I really hope is that one of the memory companies decides to say, you know what? I think we're going to set a precedent on this, because it's a memory company like SK Hynix, or, well, I don't know. Hynix doesn't sell their own sticks. So
no, they just sell
sell the chips. So, let's say Team Group just decides to say no. I hope so. Any of the other memory companies, please stand up and beat these guys into the dirt, because I don't think they have a case. Now, whether or not your lawyers do is another question, because I'm not a lawyer. But sitting on a jury, I definitely side on the favor of the memory company, because it's just industry standard practice. And that's why I get booted off the jury pool.
Yeah.
So they don't like jurors who actually know something about the subject on trial. So, yeah. But I think that's going to be the bombshell that calls it the show for this evening. So thank you all for giving us a little bit of your time. We appreciate your viewership. And if you'd like to, jump down the doobly-doo below and leave us a comment or two, and like and subscribe, do all that magic stuff. So I think until next time, have fun storming the castle.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.